Speed.
What does that mean?
Alex Plank reads the phone book, or Appendix A, recording and documenting. Can I hit him in the nose with this thing? Go, anytime.
The book tells us about a variety of ways of taking notes. And I talked to an expert in the field of taking notes, and he told me that it was all kind of lame. So I'm only going to skim through it and tell you not to do it. And I know the book says to, but I am honest. And I don't want you to do it. And he doesn't want you to do it. He's an expert. So don't. The first thing, basically what the book says to do is get these little note cards and write things on them, which is a waste of paper, kills trees, and really, seems like you jumble them around. I'm not going to lie, it's a stupid thing to do. But it also mentioned that you can use a computer to take notes. Now, if you're in a place that you have a computer, that's a viable solution. But often while you're out in the field, it's hard to take notes using a computer. You could be in a library that's kind of like a little tilted or in the water, and you really can't do much because you're kind of like, it's just difficult, okay? Now, what you do is you take a tape recorder, microcassette or digital if you have to be, ahead of the curve, bleeding edge. I just use microcassettes because I'm not really that technologically savvy. I'm sure you guys realize that. I use what works. Now, you record using the audio, and get this. You don't have to even move your hands. So if you have some sort of disability like pterodactyly, which causes the fingers to look all like you're a dinosaur, and you're not rich enough to get the surgery when you were an infant, which basically means you're not going to be able to fix it, which kind of sucks because if your parents weren't rich at the time. But now this is something good because these pterodactyly patients can take notes without typing. And get this, there's new technology. It's like state-of-the-art. For instance, using speech-to-text programs, you say it into your little tape recorder, and get this, you play it to your computer, and the computer starts typing things like it has a mind of its own, which might be the case. Certain models of computers, like I have this e-machine. But okay, now back to the story. All right, so you use this technology, but there are some drawbacks to everything has drawbacks and pros and cons too, in addition to the drawbacks. So what it does is it mistranslates something. So you say something, and for instance, and this is an engineering, this is technical communication. For instance, you're an engineer, you work in a big engineering center, and you're telling the computer that you're going to use a hydraulic ram, which is a big device. But you know what it says? It thinks you say water goat. I'm serious. It's like water goat. Next topic, quoting the works of others. Now, direct quote's okay, but the book says you should paraphrase or some BS like that, and BS stands for Boulder Symposium. I actually went there, Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. So it was actually an atomic clock. They have I think the Navy has some sort of, or the Army has some sort of, I forget what they were. They all wore uniforms, but they have this like conference about atomic clocks in Boulder, Colorado. It's called the Boulder Symposium, or BS. Now, I know that you guys have heard of abbreviations. Don't use that abbreviation in a document that you're turning into your teacher, because she'll get pissed off and give you an F. How do I know this? Just trust me, okay? Now, there are ways of quoting your sources. The book does not mention the most important one, which is to use sounds with them. To quote Victor Borge, double quote, single quote, two double quotes. I can't think of any others. Oh, whoa, not only quotations, though, because talking about the sounds of punctuation. Now, let's say you needed to use a period. I'm sorry. That was a little, I have to say, I get a little, I'm so passionate about this class, and it's just, I love English so much. And I love technical communication. For fun, I read the book all the time, and I play violin too. It actually, I read the book to fall asleep. To be honest, it's good to read something you're passionate about while you fall asleep, because it'll bore you and you'll fall asleep. Backward slash. And look, I wasn't even talking. That's how talented I am. I'm a ventriloquist. Duh. And finally, the elliptical. Now, the book says to use the elliptical passage in a certain way, and it's a very eloquently written statement. So I'm going to read what the book says. The elliptical passage must be grammatical and must not distort the original meaning, period. For additional guidelines, see page 771. Okay, it's not there, but this is a technical manual, comes with the territory. All right, let's go to the next section. Paraphrasing. That brings to mind another word, which is pleasure. Never mind. But it also brings to mind the paralegal. And you all know what paralegals are. I'm not gonna. This is rated G. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. All right, I'm gonna read you the 7 guidelines the book outlines about paraphrasing. 1. Refer to the author early in the paraphrase to indicate the beginning of the borrowed, and I use borrowed with quotations because that's what I use. 2. Retain key words, not keywords like you would put in a search engine, 2 separate words, key like the key words, from the original to preserve its meaning, which is probably a good thing to do if you're paraphrasing, because, as I said, it's kind of like when the audio translation thing does that water camel or whatever, no, ram, goat, it was a goat, kind of like that. Have you ever gotten bitten by a goat? It's not a pleasant experience. I've heard. 3. Restructure and combine original sentences for emphasis and fluency, which I think has something to do with alcohol. 4. Delete needless, not needy, needless words from the original for consciousness. 5. Use your own words For instance, one of my own words is Vavelschaklaskenmine. I made it up myself. You can't use any word that anyone else has ever used. It's your own words. Use those. And use your own phrases too, like blah, 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 blah. I coined that one. You've heard people say that before, but they're paraphrasing my stuff. Now, use your own words and phrases to clarify the author's ideas. 6, cite, in parentheses, the exact source to mark the end of the borrowed passage and give full credit. And finally, 7, be sure to preserve the author's original intent. Weinstein 3. That's who the book stole this from. Now, what should you document? The book says you should document a lot of stuff. There are certain things you shouldn't document. Like if you're committing fraud, don't document it because they're going to catch you. I'm not going to lie. All right, and I know about this. I watch CNN. Oh, sorry about that. I was just thinking about Jessica Simpson. All right, and let me just wrap this up by saying, be yourself. Don't do drugs. And always use protection because accidents cause people.
TV Wiki! .tv